And we're recording. Hello, everyone. Hello, people who are going to be watching later. Hope you enjoy the session. It's a little bit of a dance-inspired session this evening. Oh, here comes Helen, so I'll let her in as I do a little preamble. So yeah, some ideas that link Tai Chi with dance. Maybe not Western dance, but we can still borrow some ideas from there. But more commonly Southeast Asian dance styles. And yeah, I'm going to kind of explore some movements with you and see how that goes. Hi, Helen. Good to have you with us as well. So if you are ready, we will get started. I'll do my mix of seated, standing. I'll start standing. I don't need to be too far away from the camera, first of all. We're going to do our first sort of opening movements, Chi Shi movements, these movements that get us into the right frame of mind. But I'm going to use them to bring in some of these ideas just to see how it kind of chimes with you. Anyone who does Pilates might be familiar maybe with some of these ideas. Pilates was a modality ostensibly designed for dancers back in the day. It's now very popular, and we've got a Pilates class here for limb power. So here we go. Chi Shi 5 times, just gentle lift of the hands and arms, shoulder height, and then we just settle down as we go. And then again, could be with a breath in if you like, and then down. Or just focus on the movement like so. The trick is to try and keep our shoulder girdles nice and relaxed and down as we do this. If I remember rightly, this is our 5th and final one. So we're just going to segue into the next, which is called opening hearts. We lift up, but then we open out. And then we close. And then drop the hands down. Nice and gentle. Once again, a lift, an open, and then a close. Again, if you would like, you can take a breath in as we lift and open. Maybe a bigger breath. Just like so. We'll do one more. Wonderful. So let's just have a little pause there. Just kind of move around a little bit. Again, standing up is a chore in itself, especially if you've got new limbs to try out. So, yeah, don't fall over. So we'll have a wider stance if we can. Okay, a bit wider. Again, on different kinds of prosthetic limb, lower limb, will determine how much range of motion we've got. We're moving from side to side, just like so, just to get a shift of weight going. And we're exploring the range within which we can move comfortably. As I say, that will often depend on level of amputation, perhaps, the kind of kit, feet, knees, suspension system. All these little variables can have quite an impact on our range of motion, especially side to side. So this is a useful exercise. Okay. So we're going to head back to Chi Shi, but here's this little analogy that I'm going to give you. I hope it's a nice one. What we're looking for when we lift our hands, generally in all kinds of Tai Chi movements, is what's called a landscape. So if I turn side on, we should have a nice soft kind of roundness, okay, to the hand and arm. It shouldn't be too straight. It shouldn't be too relaxed, a bit like a Tyrannosaurus Rex in Jurassic Park, like that. We want this nice kind of shape. So a nice description is to imagine that we've got a landscape. So I've got a hill, high part, shoulder, dropping down into a shallow little valley at the elbow, rising up to the wrist, very shallow little hill, and then trailing off down from the fingers. If you can get that shape with your hands and arms in so many of the positions that we adopt in Tai Chi, you're going a long, long way to getting that kind of upper limb part mastered. So let's do our opening movements again, Chi Shi. But see if you can create this nice kind of lilting landscape with your shoulder girdle, arms and hands, if possible. So here we go. So we're lifting up. And we've got this nice softness. It should help you keep the shoulder girdle down. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see as I do. I lift, and there's that little rolly landscape there momentarily before I drop the hands. That's kind of what you're aiming for, to create this really nice, soft, rolling landscape. Let's do one more of those, and then we'll segue into the opening hearts movement because it applies here as well. So as we lift up and open out, as I open out, you want to have again this kind of lilty roll from the arms, shoulders down into the elbow, and then the hands are just gently relaxed, and then close and down. So if you can get those shapes in your mind's eye as you open the hands and arms, hopefully it makes life maybe a little bit easier, that we're a bit less achy in holding our hands and arms out as we do so. Let's do one more of those. So again, these are sort of shapes and positions that help our Tai Chi. Lovely. Good stuff. So the other bit of this kind of link with dance is that we extend our line out into space, into the room or the space in which we occupy. So if I do Qi Shi, I'm not just thinking about hands and arms, I'm thinking about a line continuing out into space that gives me a sense of connection with that space around me. So that can be a really useful thing to have in mind. So we're going to explore that with a different exercise. So we're going to, let's think of the left side, shall we? So left arm. So we're going to turn and just lift the left arm, but this time the palm is up. And again, I've got this nice shape and the fingers are leading off into the distance. My palm is up, and imagine that there's a line going out from the fingers into the space you occupy. The right hand comes across and the fingers are just pointing towards my left elbow. If I turn, can you see that? So we've got two lines. And if I just drop the hands down and then pick them up on the right side, the right palm is up now, I create a similar shape, just like so. So then we've got this nice movement, dropping from one side, looking to the left, and then dropping and looking to the right. And if we turn the head to just follow the direction in which our hands are leading, that can help us with that line. The shoulders really don't move. The chest stays square on, and it's simply a lift of the hands and a look with the head and eyes in each direction. So that's quite a nice movement. And it gives us this sense of a line going out in each respective direction in which we look. Lovely. So we can use this to extend both lines out with both hands and arms. So if we just turn both palms out and lift up. So basically we want to have your shoulder girdle as a kind of high point, and you've got this nice kind of extension of a landscape out at either side with those imaginary lines extending out from the fingers and hands, just like so. If we turn the palms over, we still keep that nice shape. It's just that we've turned the palms over. If I turn the palms so that they face forwards, we still keep that nice shape. So then just relax, because that means that you've been holding your arms out to the side for a little bit, which is a bit of an old school training methodology, except they have you do this for a long, long time until you were getting very achy. I'm not going to do that, but it helps us understand. Should we have another little go? So we can lift up, palms up, nice and relaxed in the shoulder girdle, but we've got that lovely shape. You can look to each side if you wish. Turn the palms down, very soft. Turn the palms forward, again, nice and soft through the shoulders. And then you can just let everything relax. And again, let's just have a little bit of a move around, just in case we're getting a bit sore. So we can use this shape and idea when we do our next movement, which is Wai Zhao, which is that lift of the palms, but we include some rotation or a turn as we do so. So we're going to turn to the right first. So as we do so, we lift the palms and we create that line and shape. And then we let the hands drop and we turn to the left and we do the same line and shape. And we don't want to try and turn too far, otherwise we might kind of interrupt that nice line that we've got from fingertip to fingertip that is connected through the shoulders. And I'm just rotating from left and then to right, creating this line that extends all the way out into my space in my front room. You can do the same in your space. So again, that gives us a sense of connection, of connecting hands and arms, shoulders, and also connecting with the space. These are ideas that get talked about sometimes in dance. We used to have some ballet dancers come to the classes I used to go to way back in the 1980s, and there was a lot of kind of exchange of ideas here in terms of the similarities in how we used our bodies. So I kind of hope this is interesting, a nice kind of little exploration. So let's continue that exploration. I'm going to sit down just to join people who might be seated or watching later seated. If you're still standing and want to stand, please do. So just to sit down. So I've got my hands on the outsides and I'm going to bring the hands up and cross them. Bring them up to the shoulders, turn the palms out, and then I'm going to open up. And then as I bring the hands down, as we get to this point, that's where we want that line to extend through. It's almost as if it's a position, even though we pass through it, that we want to know that we find every time. This time I'm going up with the opposite hand in front, looking up, and then letting my hands fall down. The palms are facing forward, but we pass through that position that we explored previously. Here we go again. And down. Here we go. Crossing the other hand. Up. So the movement is called Happy Days, or sometimes it's called the fountain, or sometimes it's called parting the clouds. But it's got this nice open feel, but there's that line just as I pass through it. Helps me know where I am in the movement. Here we go, last time. Lovely. And another little thing to look out for next time is that when I'm lifting hands up, I'm still creating this kind of softness on the way up. I don't overextend. There's just a softness at the top that comes down. So we're avoiding overextension. So that's just a little point for you. So let's do some pushing. And again, in this exercise called pushing waves, we're going to pass through those nice shapes, those landscapes that we've created. First of all, we start off by picking my hands up, just like we did at the beginning in Chi Shi. And then I'm turning to my right a little bit, drawing my hands back, so now they do drop, and then I push low. And I create that shape and line that I pick up and then draw back. And then I'm turning to the left as we do so. And then I push low and then lift the hands. And I'm alternating as I pick the hands up from one side to the other, pushing waves in slow motion. But as I do so, as I push low and then lift up, we come into that nice shape and then it draws back. So again, there's this idea that we find those kind of landscapes as familiar little waymarks in the movement. And once you know that they're there, you'll begin to recognize how many times these shapes and landscapes crop up in our various movements and exercises. So this is a nice movement just again to reconnect with that idea of a softness. It helps us avoid overextending and straightening the arms, and it maybe helps us stop being too deep in the elbows as we draw back. There's some deepness there, but we don't want to be too deep. So I'm going to do one more on each side, just again to give us an opportunity to practice. Lovely. So at this point, we've kept hands and arms strictly on their respective sides, right for right and left for left. Now we're going to cross the center line. So let's use our right hand. I'm giving it a wave. I'm looking to the left and I'm sweeping it down and up as if casting a ball. And then I'm picking up the left hand, looking to the right and sweeping it down and up like an underhand throw and casting a ball in that direction, called Cast Your Cares Away. And I'm just working from one side and then to the other, just like so. That's it. So when we do this, we still want to create a bit of a shape, a nice softness. We don't want to overstretch or over exaggerate the movement. Again, we want to keep a little bit of softness in the elbow. Here we go. One more to each side. Excellent. Another way that sometimes this softness is kind of put across is that if I have that softness, there's a little dimple that's created just in there. It's like a little pocket. It's almost as if something could sit in there. A ball, an egg, something. If we go too deep, we lose it. If we overextend it, it kind of disappears as well. But if we get it just right, there's a nice depression that we find that might be another way to think about this softness. So I've done some seated. I'm going to stand back up again. And we'll continue this exploration. Okay. So we've got lines to think about. So we're going to combine our weight shift from side to side, a little bit like being on a boat and rocking that boat from side to side. But we're going to release some arrows left and right. Just excuse me, I'm going to have a little cough. Excuse me. I haven't got my drink nearby. Okay. So first of all, we're just going to pick the hands up. Again, I've got that softness. I come overhead. I'm going to look to the left and drop my left arm until it finds that nice position. And then I'm shifting my weight a little bit to the right. And then I'm bringing my weight back and then dropping both hands down to pick them up again. Overhead just a little bit. And then we're turning to the right. I find that position, there it is, and then shift my weight to the left. And then draw back. And both hands lower. Called drawing the bow. Or opening the bow. Let's go to the left again, shifting my weight lightly to the right as I find that line through the left arm. Up again. Looking, shifting weight. This time I'm looking to the right, weight on the left side, and then back again. Good job. It's a nice movement. Here we go again. Looking left, weight shift to the right, and we've got that shape in mind. And then the right arm joins, and we've got that balance. Let's go one more time to our looking right, but shifting weight to the left. Excellent. There's the shape. And back. So if you begin to be more aware of these shapes, you use them in day-to-day life. That's one of the ideas. But we don't overextend ourselves when reaching. But we make sure we're in a just right position to work with these comfortable shapes in mind. Not too close, not too far away. As we might say, baby bear's porridge, if we were using a Goldilocks analogy. Okay, so let's use a movement from Shibashi, and we'll do some casting of a fishing net. Again, it involves more weight shift. So we've got right arm coming up overhead. Left hand is down, but notice that it's a little bit extended. It's not just tucked in. Again, we've created that shape, but down. And then I'm rotating to the right as if casting a net, turning the hands over, I've now got the left hand on top and then casting to the other side. And there's a little bit of weight shift on our boat as we cast from one side, rotate the hands and arms over, and then cast back from where we started. And we just alternate gently. And again, see if we can have that nice shape through the hands and arms, although we're in a slightly different position. We want to have that gentle sense of extension as we go. Lovely. One side and then the other. Don't worry if we're out of sync. I'm going to finish on the left side. So there's my sweep to the left. And then I'm just going to bring everything back to where we began. And with an eye on the time, I will sit down again just to rejoin people who are seated, and we'll do some concluding movements, still with these ideas of lines and landscapes in mind. So some of you are familiar with this 2-sequence set from the Li family Tai Chi form. We can start with either hands resting on the knees if we're sat down, or hanging loosely by the sides, called Gather Celestial Energy. So as we bring the hands up, again, we want this roundness through the hands and arms, and then we lift that shape up, and we look up to a star-lit sky overhead in our imagination. And then we bring the hands and arms down, and they keep that nice shape all the way down, very dance-like. And then we sweep the hands around, gather the hands up, and we hang on to our stars. We drop our stars, and then we pick the hands up to the side. There's that shape and line, and then we wrap ourselves in an imaginary blanket. And then we let the hands fall away. And then once again, we pick them up, gather celestial energy as it's called. There's that shape through the hands and arms. Lift that shape up, looking to the imaginary sky overhead. Bring some stars down. Gather those stars and hang on to them for a moment before letting them fall away. Lifting, taking our imaginary blanket, wrapping in that blanket for a moment, and then letting it go. One more time, just to bring us to the top of the hour. Here we go, looking up. Bringing the hands down. Gathering as we go. And then the hands lift up. Take the blanket, wrap, and release. And there we go. That's a little kind of exploration of some of the links that have been made by researchers and scholars looking at the connections between martial arts in China with dance traditions from quite a long way away, all the way to northern India and maybe even further, as well as down into Southeast Asia. So I hope you like those ideas of lines and shapes, and maybe it helps in day-to-day life. So I'm going to stop the recording. If anyone has any questions or thoughts or comments, please hang on. Feel free to unmute yourselves as I come closer and hit stop recording.